Grand Risings. Today is Saturday, May 28th, and this is your Shekinah Wisdom Podcast. Today, my lovelies, is Self-Care Saturday. You know what that time is. That's the day that we pour into ourselves. And part of pouring into yourselves is learning the art of forgiveness. Letting go of past hurts that no longer serve you so that you can enjoy the gift of today. That's why it's called the present. The past is just there so you could learn lessons from them, not for you to become imprisoned in the past. One of the books that I had to read in high school was called Death of a Salesman. And it was about this guy named Willie Loman. And basically, what the book was talking about is what happens when you don't know how to adapt with change. If you do not know how to adapt to change, you will surely die. If not physically, emotionally, spiritually, you will die. You won't move forward in life. You will stay at that place. Life is all about leveling up. The lessons that you receive in life are not there to destabilize you to the point where you can't go on. It's just there to destabilize you enough for you to see that the path that you're currently on works or doesn't work. And what you need to do in order to add more stability to your life. Sometimes when you connect with someone and when you connect with them and if things start falling apart in your life, you need to examine that relationship. You need to examine how much you are actually giving to that relationship. Because if you are giving too much, that means that you're operating from a deficit. You don't have enough stored up to carry both you and that other individual. Relationships should be about reciprocity. I pour into you, you pour into me, like a beautiful symbiotic dance. And when the relationship is devoid of that, that's when it breaks down. That's when friction. Communication, not just communication. Let me take that back. Effective communication is paramount in a relationship. How many times are we in a relationship and we are not listening to what the other person says? Why? Because we're so caught up in our own grief and our own grievances that we're not listening. And a lot of times, if both people took the time out to listen to one another, they wouldn't have all of the issues that they have encountered. And if you don't listen to yourself, you're not going to listen to people outside of you. Part of self-care is setting healthy boundaries, but it's also respecting other people's boundaries, right? You can't want for someone what they don't want for themselves. So instead of whatever you're pushing onto others, you become what that is, right? If at all possible. And if not, there's someone else. There's always someone else, right? Because you have to learn and respect everybody else's growth process. Think about the time where you knew not. Imagine if the information you had now, today, that you accept today, was poured on you back then. You would have been resistant of it. Like when you tell kids that there's no tooth fairy or Santa Claus. Life is all about unlearning to evolve. But how are we evolving? How are we truly growing? And that's what we do on Self-Care Saturday. It's a day that we pour in ourselves and sit time with ourselves, and we monitor our growth and development. We go through our achievement journal, right? And see the achievements that we have made. And we feel better about ourselves. This is the day that you deal with your internal and external world. that is currently around you. It is very important that we make time in our relationships with ourselves, for ourselves. A lot of times we get in a relationship, we get so caught up with the other individual, we don't see the importance of self-care. There are times where you should spend time away from your partner so you can develop a healthy balance. If you're on top of each other all the time, that could create more friction because it doesn't allow a person the solitude to work through their own personal internal issues that they may have going on. It's okay for people to have their time to just think and just be. And if they're going to spend their time doing something that's going to break the relationship apart, then that shows you that that relationship isn't as strong as you think, and you should reevaluate even if you should be in it. You should not feel a kind of way that your partner takes time out away from you to do whatever they do. You cannot stop what's going to happen. People have free will. You might postpone the inevitable in certain situations. That's why it's important to vet out who you want to deal with in a relationship, whether it's business, personal, or familial. See how they respond to certain things, and then you make a decision whether you want to pour more into that. But to restrict a person from being them is not going to give you the outcome that you desire. Because the moment they're not around you, then they're not going to conduct themselves in a proper light. Because that's the type of individual you're dealing with. You have to look at the person you're dealing with. And a person in an ideal relationship will not, you don't have to watch them. You know, they know where their relationship stands. They know where their loyalty and integrity lies. And they don't see themselves going out of that relationship. But that is themselves. It's not from force, from an external force saying that they have to do it. I'd rather see people in their natural habitat because it shows me exactly what I'm dealing with. And I move accordingly. Self-Care Saturday is a day where you sit with yourself and you learn to trust your instincts, your intuition. You meditate and you figure out what is it that makes you tick? What is motivating you? Are you still being motivated by the same things? What do you have to change up in life? See, you won't ever be able to figure that out as long as you don't take the time out for self and you don't allow people around you to take the time out for self. All right, my lovelies, if you need further help on your healing journey, head over to Mak8ng where you can book an appointment. If you want art therapy, head over to collection.com. And if you simply want to support the work we do here, you can cash out Unearthing the Truth. All right, my lovelies, you have a wonderful, happy Self-Care Saturday.